With 9 days left before the election, we're making a video that answers all your questions on how the Democrats can win the presidential election in 2024. The current map you're seeing is every state that's expected to go Democrat. That's approximately 197 if you count the 2nd District of Nebraska. Those are states no one's disputing will go Democrat. The key here is to get those extra 73 electoral college votes. We've seen a lot of news regarding the election. The appeals court said the Mississippi law allowing ballots after election day is illegal. Mail-in voting was a very key part of the 2020 election. They're saying it won't be as big a deal, and you'll see why in this video. How come that is so important? The county in Pennsylvania, Lancaster, reviews 2,500 voter registration forms for fraud. There's as many as 2,500 discovered during a routine review of voter registrations. These are all significant parts of the plan for winning the election. 1,900 South Carolina voter registrations are denied regarding 17-year-olds. The provisional ballots cast by voters whose mail-in ballots were invalid must be counted. So more going on in Pennsylvania, which they're saying is the most important state in the election this year. Video of the Pennsylvania ballots being destroyed is Russian disinformation. There's a video circulating online reporting to show someone ripping up ballot forms marked for Bucks County, Pennsylvania. We're looking back at Michigan's elections. In 2020, they released the following statement. Like many counties in Michigan, Antrim County used the Dominion Voting Systems election management system and voting machines, ballot tabulators. The county receives programming support from election source tabulators. They are programmed to scan hand-marked paper ballots. When machines are finished scanning the ballots, the paper ballots are retained and a totals tape showing the number of votes for each candidate in each race is printed from the machine. We also have had various issues come up in various elections regarding how those votes are counted, and such as the size of the votes in Arizona. There's a YouTube channel by Stephen Gardner talking about 486,000 extra ballots. This is very significant when we're talking about how votes are counted and where are they coming from. So the Republican National Committee is suing Michigan for those 486,000 ballots printed. More ballots than there are legal voters. And the question is, why do they need them? The Secretary of State has admitted this is a mistake. They will remedy it after the election. There's also those 200,000 names that came up in Arizona, many of them Republican. So these are important parts of the plan for the winning of the election. A lot of these things people are saying, if we can do some of the same things that happened in 2020, Democrats might still pull this out. Michigan's voter rolls. The Republican National Committee has been suing Michigan. The claim is that Michigan's voter rolls are inflated. Here again is that same map. Democrats 197. I'm not marking the Republicans yet. There are various states here that are contested and usually are given to the Democrats, but there's also some noise that Some of these may actually be in play. So when we're talking about Nevada, even New Mexico, Virginia, Minnesota, those are most likely going to the Democrats. And so if we just assume they will, the race is that close, and apparently there's a minor lead for the Democrats in those states. We get up to 226. Now, there are a lot of pollsters right now saying those leads have disappeared and they're going the other way. And you'll see a map at the end of this that explains what happens if all of that goes the Republicans' way. But right now we're strategizing how the Democrats are going to pull this election out. And what to watch for in transit court rulings. Look for mail-in ballot deadlines. There's a lot of news and lawsuits going on about those things. The amount of time needed to tally the votes. States needing extra days or weeks to count votes. Pay attention to the headlines for court rulings. Malfunctioning machines on election day is a big part of the elections, especially in Arizona. 100% Democrat precincts. We're talking in some of these states like Michigan and Pennsylvania. There's been times where 100% of the voters in certain precincts will be Democrat ballots. Will that happen? Will that happen, and will it continue to play a key role in how these states are determined? Counting machine corrections. Watch the early voting reports and pay attention to the percent reported stat. In other words, as you see 50% of all precincts reporting, notice these numbers. A lot of people are not really paying attention to that math. Are the vote tallies rising proportionately to reported percent of precincts? So, what if? This is the what if now. The Democrats, we're going to give them benefit of the doubt. We'll give them Minnesota, Nevada, New Mexico, and Virginia, as we mentioned. We'll also give them Wisconsin and Michigan, as there's a lot of disputes going on in the 2020 election about how those were counted. Can they do some of the same things again? You have Virginia at 13. This puts the Democrats at 257 if they win these states. So, examining the history of what happened in 2020, let's see what may need to happen again. Here we have, let's just say Arizona has more malfunctions of their voting machines. People aren't able to vote. And that projected favorability for Republicans doesn't materialize. So that would be 11. That would take the Democrats to 268. It's still not enough. They need 270, as you can see. Here's the same thing. Watch for the trends. Look at the mail-in ballot deadlines. All those things, can they all combine to help the Democrats pull out another win in these states? There's 3 states that everyone's saying are key states for Democrats. This is CBS. This is the 2020 key. They also said that it was hugely significant in the 2020 election, where a lot of mail-in ballots came in and ended up being the difference in winning those states. Back in 2020, Michigan went to Biden eventually, but with 51% of the votes tallied, you had a 54% lead for Trump, 54.3 to 43.9 for Biden. So how did they turn that around? That's approximately 300,000 votes right there. Biden was trailing. Then we had Wisconsin. Notice the circle 71% in. With just 29% to go, approximately 1 million plus, there was a lead of 120,000 approximately there for Trump. How did that disappear? So we're talking about 1 million votes, a lead of approximately 120,000. Wisconsin. All right. So they projected 3.6 million votes. So when you see 71% circled, they are saying that's the actual votes that will be cast. The math does work there. So as you see some elections where 50% is reported, you see there's a lead, and then all of a sudden it goes to 80%, and those totals did not go up proportionately like what happened in Arizona with some of the news media reporting that election. Pay attention to those percentages. If the people again don't notice that these 71% totals are not matching the actual votes that are counted, well, we're going to have another result like we did. In Pennsylvania, 60% of the votes were counted with a 56.6 to 42.1 lead for the Republicans. Looking at that, it's over 600,000. How did that get made up? When it went to 81, it was still significant, 81%. This is with less than 1 million votes to be counted. So the lead still was over 200,000 from 18. Actually, it's 300,000. So with just 1 million votes to be counted in Georgia, this is in Georgia, somehow the Democrats made up that vote of a 300,000 vote deficit. This is what people saw when they went to sleep on election night. So how do they do that? Let's talk about some strategy here. Pennsylvania has 20 electoral votes in the last election. I believe that's down to 19. The Democrats did flip a seat there rather than going Republican in 2016. Eventually, 50% of the votes, 3,458,229, went Democrat. Now, notice this is what 80% voting, and with final tally, looks like it went up about 600,000. They said that there was 700,000 yet to count. This is a quote from the election experts on mainstream media. So they actually had 600,000 instead of 700,000, and the math is kind of hard to follow there. So if we, again, don't pay attention to the math, maybe some of these states will turn the other way, where the totals get fudged one way or another, and you see very, very amazing comebacks. 135,000 vote lead, a race, million votes. Well, it was 700,000 to be cast or to count. Okay, this has happened in various states, one after another. Will it happen again? In Michigan, there we go, we had 41%, and we did have a lead of almost 300,000 for Republicans with half the votes counted. So we're just assuming all these states go Democrat, the ones with any hope at all going Democrat. And then, of course, that does leave those big three and Georgia. So if the Democrats do the same thing, they will win. So how are you going to take either Georgia or Pennsylvania with the assumption that North Carolina will go Republican again, and Florida is likely to go Republican according to the polls? So instead of Arizona, the Democrats need a bigger state like Georgia or North Carolina, or of course Pennsylvania, one way or another. Here's what the polling has looked like as of 12 days before the election. This is what they're forecasting. So basically the same blue states with some of those swing states turning to the Republicans. That's the forecast. going back, this is for optimistic Democrats. This is the hopeful scenario for Democrats to win the elections. These same things that happened in the elections of 2020 and 2022. You're going to have to rely on mail-in ballot deadlines. If people aren't paying attention, the percentage matching the actual ratio of the math votes counted, you have potential malfunctioning machines that may play a factor, and court rulings, of course, if they allow a lot of deadlines to be postponed on counting votes. That seems to favor the Democrats. In the words of Saul Alinsky, for the Democrats, the motto, let no crisis go to waste. So whenever you have one of these snafus happen, if you can take advantage of it, and somehow the vote totals do not favor Republicans as a result, you have your chance to pull out an election day victory. Thank you for watching.